Spirit.
Amen.
So this morning we consecrate the class to the transition between sense knowledge and intellective knowledge. From sensation, we study that. So we study how we know through our senses. We know through our imagination, memory, common sense, senses, communist, coordinating sense, and estimative and cogitative. Now we have to continue to progress. And to help us to do that step, we reflect on a special man called Archimedes. So let's go to the text of Father Reichmann. He quotes Father Lonergan. Father Lonergan is a Jesuit, a Canadian Jesuit, very known for his book on the proof of the existence of God. The pivot between images and concept is the insight. So we have we went up to phantasm. You remember? Now the highest level of knowledge we have is the phantasm. Intelligible, express, species. Remember that? Huh? That is the higher level we have now, highest level. Now we have to go further to the concept. So, in fact, between the image we have of something and the concept we'll study soon, we have to pass through a stage here we call the insight. That means we have to understand, to catch, to grasp the thing, but at a universal aspect, not only this cat, but the notion of, you can see that, huh? The notion of cat at any level. Huh? Universal cat, not the singular cat, the universal cat. Not the singular car or chair or desk, but the universal chair, the universal desk. Okay, so first consideration. When we are born as human beings, we are the less specialized species among animals. All animals are more specialized when they are born than man. For example, you see some, I saw that recently on television, no? A giraffe. So she gave birth to another little giraffe. In a few minutes, a few seconds after, he was able to walk. No, how long did you take to walk? I don't remember for me, but I know that takes many months, huh? Many months. And when the baby, the toddler, making his first step, it is a great joy in the family, you know. No, we are not specialized, huh? Not specialized, okay? So there is nothing in us, in our anatomy, order to a specific task. Of course, my eyes are to see, but they are not to see only something, you know? My hand can do something, but not only something. For example, the bees. The bees, they are very good in geometry, but they are only on one figure of geometry, huh? The hexagon. Hexagon. I'm sure my hexagon is less precise than the hexagon of the bee. But it is only that it can do. Bee cannot make a square. It cannot draw never a bee will have a BA with circle. No, it is always. Spider, the same. Never a spider will think, oh, I should build my web in 3 dimensions. No, the spider always makes its web in 1 dimension, 2 dimension. Huh? Not. It should be better to catch. No, only. So they are determined to something precise. Man is not specialized. We are not. We are very generalized in our capacity. We can do anything, but at the beginning we can do nothing, except to drink the milk of our mother, Mama. So that is the reality. So we can stay, we start from scratch. We have no innate, specialized capacity for anything. So that we have to learn everything. And because we have no specialized capacity for a special thing, a thing, we can do anything. So we are flexible. We are adaptable. In that we are quite different from animals. Irrational animals, they cannot adapt everywhere. They are not flexible. So we will speak about that during the course. So man is born without specialized task, talent, but with the ability to learn. That is important. Why man, starting from almost nothing, and is all the time enriching itself with many capacities, because he is intelligent. He is intelligent. So the baby is intelligent. Even the fetus is intelligent. And we know today the baby in the womb of the mother reacts. He has emotion. They film the baby just before, at the time of the abortion, and he reacts like a human being. They are afraid. They try to escape the tool of the killer. I don't say the doctor. I say the killer. The kill. So he protects itself. That means we have already the capacity. We know today that when the baby listens to his parent in the womb, and his parents are very quiet, he will be quiet. But if the parents are fighting, he will be affected by that. And we know that today. So that means our intellect is already at the beginning. And our senses are beginning to function. Of course, we are not aware of that. And today we know that through the, we'll study that in a few weeks, on the unconscious. The unconscious. A large part of our knowledge, our emotion are unconscious. So we'll see that in the future. So totally unspecialized. And that takes a long time. Legally, in the majority of the countries today, it is 18 years. Before becoming an adult, before buying your own car, 18 years. When you are 18, you become an adult. In my time, it was 21. We were retarded. I voted for the first time I was 21, Probably we lack of maturity today. You are more mature. Okay. So, a long time of maturation. A long time of maturation. Think about that. If you live 80 years, on 80 years, a quarter of your life is to prepare to become an adult. It's a long time. It's a long time. Your cat, your dog, don't take so long. A few months, a few years, and they are able to engender other cats, other dogs, and no, we are 18 years. Special, okay? And what we acquire, we must, the characteristic of the human being, cannot grow only receiving information. We have to react to that. We have to react. If we don't react, we cannot grow. That means we have to assimilate what we receive. We have to make that part of ourselves. Okay? Next page. So we have to provide for ourselves. Man must provide. Clearly, there is an intimate tie between two things. First, the human anatomy and our complete lack of inborn instinctual knowledge. We have no knowledge, but at the same time, the ability to think. So we are unspecialized, but we have a faculty the other don't have. We think. We will. So we can use that power compensate what we don't have as an animal. And because of that, we are freer than animal. We enjoy a freedom of action animals don't enjoy. That means we can go, because we are intelligent, because we are able to reflect on our past experience, what we receive from our environment, we can go farther. Our capacity of reflection on our own experience allow us to progress. In fact, why did you progress? Because you assimilate what your mother and your father told you. And sometimes your father, after your mother, I told that you many times, yes. Repetition is the mother of knowledge, education. That means we progress because we reflect on what we did. As long as you don't reflect, you don't progress. So that means we cannot progress only through our sensation. Our sensation, our sense experience are not sufficient to become an adult. We have to reason, to think about that, to use our intellect. So our human body linked, united with our intellect, with our mind, make us very, my body and my soul, if I look at that, they are interdependent. My body receives many information, but they cannot be useful to me if my mind, my soul does not reflect on that, does not assimilate that. So my growth as a human body depend on, as a human being, depend on two factors, my body and my soul. And they are together. So, and because I have in my mind, I have the capacity of thinking or reflecting, I can detach myself from my experiences. That means I can review my experiences, and I can discover the meaning of my experiences. Because an experience has a value only if there is a meaning. And we may have many, many experiences. They become really valuable for us when we find something valuable, good or bad for us in those experiences. For example, when you were young and you touched the stove and it was burning, well, that experience is valuable for you because you make a link between the suffering of touching and say, no, don't touch, You have to reflect, otherwise you will continue to do the same mistake. So when we use our experience, we have to find the meaning in that experience. And because of that, little by little, our knowledge is enriching. And that leads us to a lot of various activities. So in fact, we cannot stay only in sensation. Animals, they stay there. But we go further. We go further because there is a faculty in us. It is with the intellect. And we studied that now for 2-3 weeks, the intellect. And because of we reflect on our experience of past, sense experience, because our experience are sensible. We have a kind of activities adapted, more and more adapted to our human nature. We have a special behavior. We don't have the same way of living as my cat and as my dog, Okay? And also, I can put my mind in my physical activity. I can put my mind in my physical activity. And when I do that, if it is for beauty, we call that art. If it's for utility, we call that technology. In fact, what is art? What is technology? It is to put my mind in matter, no? A sculptor put his mind in the marble. a painter on the canvas, a carpenter in the wood. You know, it is the capacity. Why we have the capacity to put our mind in the matter? Because we know through experience what is that matter, and because we know that is that matter, you can use it. You know, we are dominating through our mind. So through our sensation, we are depending on things, but through my mind, I become independent on things. I can master material reality. Okay. So can you see here? I can transform the world. 300 years ago, here there was forest. Now there is big city, Manhattan, for example. When the Dutch, they came from Holland to create a colony in New Amsterdam, they never thought that would become Manhattan. They planted trees. They did not plant skyscrapers. And today we have skyscrapers, and they grow like trees. But there are no more place for trees. So we are capable of transforming the matter, the world, to reshape the world. That means we have dominion, we have power. Why? Not because we have our senses, because we have our intellectual. But we cannot use my intellectual without my senses. That is very important to affirm the unity of the human person. Descartes say we are accidentally united. Like myself, when I drive my car, but my soul is in my body, not a driver in his car. It is substantial. Both are substantial, not necessary. Okay? So we are doers and we are makers. We act and we make. We act, we do things, and we act, and we make. We play piano, we play the organ, we paint, we sing, etc. We cultivate the soil, we cultivate the farm, we dominate animals, but at the same time we make. We build houses with. Houses is not natural, it's artificial. Artificial means from the power of man to transform matter. So, next page. Because I am intelligent, because my mind can abstract, we will see that we can know almost. Our mind is open to everything. That means every being can be the object of my knowledge. We never stop to know. We never stop to know. One of the worst thing happen to a man is to stop to think, to stop to know, to stop to try to understand. That is a disease, Alzheimer, for example, or other diseases like that. No, it is natural that we are open to the universal truth, to the universal reality. Of course, we will not know everything. It is not because I can know everything that I will know everything. For example, you go to Dairy Queen and you have many menus. You know you can eat each one, but you will not eat each one. Happily. The doctor will have some work after. And the Weight Watcher. So there is no limit to our knowledge because my mind is open. My senses are limited, but through my mind I'm not limited. And that is the reason why we are in the history. When you look at the history of art, of technology, we are continually in progress. I don't say moral progress, I say technological progress. Look, for example, the 60 last years. We start from the little radio, and now what we have. You know? I never imagined a day that I will be able to record my class and put that on the internet because the internet did not exist. You know? So there is a why that we have to think about that. Why? Because we are intelligent. So the problem now we have to study in next chapter is how we do that. Now, today, we consider the facts, the phenomenon of intelligence, the phenomenon of insight. And what is the formal object? What our intellect is studying, is knowing, is searching to know being. That means every kind of thing existing, that being. Being in a thing existing. So we are open to everything. You have scientists, they study flea, and the other, they study dinosaur. Someone, they study germs, and the other, they study the galaxies. We are open to the infinite, minus and plus on both sides. We are open. We never finish to study. So the future is assured for universities, for research. And because of that, we progress materially. We progress in technology. So we are open to being. In fact, every being, we say that in metaphysics, is one being, but it is also true. That means it can be known by an intellect. That means the fact a thing exists can be known by an intellect. Of course, the one who did that, God, but for us also. Everything existing materially, it can be the object of our knowledge, and can be the object of our desire, appetite. Good. Because the fact a thing is good, it exists, there must be something good in that thing to exist. Okay? That is metaphysics. So the material object is being, but the formal object, in fact, the material object is anything, everything, but I study that at the point of view of existence. What interests me in philosophy, it is not the chemical constitution. For example, I am not interested in philosophy for chloride sodium, but I am interested why chloride sodium exists. And what is the purpose of that? Not, to see things in their origin, ultimate origin, to see them in their ultimate end, and to see them as the essential. What is the essential of everything is to exist. So that is metaphysics. So we study, I'm sure you will have some class with Dr. Duncan about that, yes.
So we can progress technologically and everything else. Is it possible for us to progress morally at all?
We can progress. But where is the limit? I think the limit is the human capacity.
Okay.
Because we are, the limit is we are constrained by the law of nature.
Okay.
So the limit. So what is science? In fact, science does not create nature. Science discover what is in the nature. Discover nature. Discover the law of nature. And as long as we respect the laws of nature, we progress. If we don't respect the laws of nature, we can have big problems. I give you a simple example. We have ferry. Recently, the Philippines, a ferry boat sunk with 350 students. They were going for Christmas vacation on the island. Why? Because they did not respect the law of nature. You cannot overload a ferry. And the main reason for the sinking of ferries is because they don't respect the law of physics, the law of nature. A simple example. Suppose you go to the refectory, you eat too much, more than your stomach can contain. What will happen? You will be sick. Sick. I don't see what happened. That is, you will be sick. Why? Because you don't respect the law of nature. So I can say the limit of progress are the law of nature. But within the law of nature, we can do a lot of things. We can progress. Okay? We build houses very high, higher and higher and higher and higher. As long as we respect the law of nature, as long as we are able that the center of the building will be on inside the surface here, it will stay. But the day we don't respect that, he will fall, you know. So it's common sense, okay? Philosophy, in fact, I say is common sense, but codified common sense. Codified, reflected common sense, okay? Sometimes I am inclined to read, I think to write a book about that, on the common sense. Because sometimes we forget common sense. Some philosophers, they are forgetting common sense. So the human behavior is limited by the law of nature. I spoke to that. Page 4. So the human body mirrors the limitedness of the human intellect. Because we have because the human body lacks a specialized structure itself, it stands ready to respond to the myriad, billion demands placed upon the human mind. So we can realize a lot of activity, a lot animal cannot do. Think about your cat. You like your cat, but your cat, you know, its activity are very limited, very limited. Look at the activity of a boy. It's incredible what we do in the world. You go to the, you buy the Encyclopedia Britannica, maybe 30 volume. All that is human activity. You know? Well, if you want to describe the activity of your cat, maybe 1 or 2 pages are enough. No? Okay? So does the human body, after its own fashion, 3 things. First, shares in the universality of the human mind. In fact, because my body is united with my soul, my intellect, it shares in the universality of my mind. That means my body is working with my mind, my soul, to do things. You know? I can do, for example, make a piano, a guitar, an organ, a car, with my body, you know. I don't say, be the piano. And the piano is there. Only God can do that. We have to use our hands, our body. But my body is working with my mind. You are writing. Who is writing? Your body. Your body is writing, but with your mind. So your end is sharing the power of your intellect. It's marvelous. The unity of the human body. Incredible. Secondly, is able in a truly remarkable way to complement both body and soul. And finally, to share the intellective activity. I can say, even when I swim, I don't swim only like a fish, like a dog. I swim like a human being. Because when your dog swims, he cannot reflect on his swimming. He cannot improve his way of swimming. But we can improve that. Okay? Well, the example given by Father Reichmann is the human hand. It's a marvel. It is a marvel. Man can, you know, a proof of that is that man can live everywhere on earth. We have men at North Pole. We have Eskimos, they live in igloo. What is an igloo? It is a ice house, a house made with ice. And they are very happy to sleep inside because it is 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. That is ideal for them. They sleep well, you know. And we can live at the equator. We can live in the tropical forest, equatorial forest. We can live in the Sahara Desert. We can live everywhere. Why? Because my body can adapt. Why my body can adapt? Because I am intelligent. Put a lion in North Pole. Put a polar bear in Cameroon at the equator. They will die. They cannot adapt. Man adapt. And when during the glaciation, many animals disappear, man continue to exist. You know? Because he can adapt. He is intelligent. So that is interesting. We are the less specialized animal, but in fact we are the most astute animal. And we can do almost everything possible because we are intelligent. we have imagination, we have memory, we have power of reflection, so we can use the past to prepare the future, to adapt. Now, a word about Archimedes. You know, Archimedes was a scientist, mathematician, and the king of Syracuse in Sicily asked him to verify if the crown he asked the goldsmith to make was a real gold, make with real gold. So what he did, he was searching for that. Is that, imagine somebody asked that to you. Is that a real gold or a mixture of gold and other thing? He was preoccupied by that. And in his country, south of Africa, Italy, is very warm, so he went to the bath to swim. And suddenly, he realized that he was floating. Floating. Many people float, no? When they swim. What is the difference between Archimedes and the other people in the same pool? He make a link between the question of the king and the fact he was floating. He said, if I float, it is because I push water. I push water, the quantity of the weight of my body, because I don't sink. Huh? So he said, when I put something in the water will push the thing up the same quantity of water displaced. Okay? So it is, in fact, he discovered the principle of hydrostatic. And he said, if, for example, if you put, suppose that is 7 pounds, okay? And you put that in water, and you realize that now it weighs 3 pounds. Why it is now receiving 3 pounds? Because there is a push up. Is pushed by the water. What water? The water is forced to go out when it enters. You know, when you plunge in the pool, what happened to the water? The water is, of course, 1% is not, but a little. If you have a big man, he take his bath, he put water at the top, the water will overflow on the floor. Huh? That means we are pushed by the water we displace. Huh? So he think about that. He said, oh, if it is true, I can check now the crown, if the crown of the king is true. I will put the crown of the king here, and I will put gold, pure gold here. The same quantity of gold, the same quantity, the same weight of the crown. If they are exactly the same constitution, they should, in the water, they should have the same, continue to have the same. So if put the crown and the gold in the water, and they stay equal. Therefore, the crown was made with the gold. If the crown will have stay up and the gold, it was a fake gold. So that is principle of hydrostasis. But how that happened? So here, Father Reichmann explained that to you. Because that is the more he uses Archimedes to introduce you to the theory of knowledge. So, first observation of a fact. He observed the fact of buoyancy. He was floating on the water. Why I am floating on the water? Many people, I can observe that, but I can no further that. I can ask questions. Remember Newton? Many people saw apple falling, fruit falling down, glass falling on the floor. Newton asked why. Questioning. Secondly, reasoning. Using his reason. It is that reasoning he did here. You know, all that reasoning. You know, when we teach, you teach, or maybe you will teach physics. You make experimentation, but for many students, it is not an experimentation or experiment. It's only an experience. I give you the definition of experience, experiment. What is the difference? Experience, it is what you feel through your senses. Huh? I go to the laboratory and I put a product into another product and the color changes. That is my senses. That is an experience. Huh? Like I can smell onion, I can smell a skunk. It's an experience. What is the difference between an experience and experiment or experimentation? It is the control. It is the usage of my reflection of my mind. I control my experience. I try to understand what happened. What I am floating in the pool. And Archimedes was so happy. He make a judgment. He discovered the law of hydrostatic. Why he was floating? He was so happy, he ran out of the bath, he forgot his pants, and naked he ran in the, he said, Eureka, I found it. Of course, when he went to the king, he put his pants. You know, that is the story, believe it or not. But this is important. He discovered the law of buoyancy, the law of hydrostatic. Why? Because he reflected on an experience, a sense experience, but he did not stay there. He went to go farther. He went to understand. In fact, the moment he understood, he grasped, he caught the, what is that? Huh? The phenomenon, the law of hydrostatic, we say he had an insight. Huh? So he had a sense experience, but it's not enough. He reflect on that and he had an insight. HT or TH? I never know.
No.
GHT.
TH?
HT.
HT. English is not easy for that. Okay, you have an insight. The insight happened once. You remember, I come back on that example, your primary school, kindergarten. How many fingers? How many fingers? How many fingers? 2 plus 2, 4. If you understand that, you have the insight. And that insight is for the rest of your life. The rest of your life. Huh? That means when you understand a thing, it is what I explained to you before. Huh? It is the intelligible impress species. Huh? The first time I understand, we illuminate the phantasm and I understand. If you teach mathematics, you will see that very easily. You give a problem, you see your student, and suddenly, beautiful smile. Inside, he understands. After that, Mr. Archimedes, what he did? He had to express that to himself. He had to express now the principle of hydrostatic in itself. Why? Because when he will arrive to the king will ask him what? And he has to explain that to the king. That is sense intelligible express species. Huh? Express species. And that is the concept. Huh? So the insight is here. Huh? The insight is the time you catch, you understand, you assimilate, and after that you can, if you assimilate, you can express that. Is the reason why I insist so much on assimilation of what you study. Never accept to learn something you don't understand. Never, never, never. It's of no use. You will lose your time and your money. Huh? Because you cannot express, you cannot have a concept of a thing if you don't have the first insight. You study geometry, you study mathematics, you study chemistry, you study biology. You have to understand first. You have to seize what is that first. After that, you can express that to yourself. It's the reason why I encourage you to work in team. Why? Because when you work in team, you are obliged to express what you think and to verify if your insight is correct or not. Sometimes we think our insight is okay. Oh, okay. It's the way I do. What is an examination? An examination is to verify if you have the good insight. if you have a good insight. If you cannot express what you know, maybe it is because you don't have the language, but maybe also because you don't have the idea, the correct idea. That means you did not understand well. Okay? So another thing in that experience, Archimedes start from the known. Is what he knew to arrive something he did not know. That is the way we learn. We start from our acquired knowledge to a new knowledge. So from the known to the unknown. And the way we do that, we reason. And reasoning, we study that in logic, it is the syllogism, demonstration. Syllogism, demonstration. Okay? So in fact, it is that discovery in page 6 in the middle was clearly an act of the mind. When he discovered the principle of hydrostatic, it was not because of his senses, it was because of his mind. Only his mind was able to make him aware of the principle of buoyancy of hydrostatic, why something is floating. Okay? And that is important because the discovery of Archimedes now is necessary for plane, is necessary for boat, is necessary for submarine. All those are obeying the law of hydrostatic. Now I go just after that. Man needs insight to understand. I cannot express an idea if first I don't know this idea. And when we study language after interaction, we will see that we can express the same idea in many ways, using many words, Sometimes when I have an oral examination, I ask you a question. You answer me. And I try to make you say the same thing in other words. If you can say the same thing in other words than in the book, that means you understand. But you see exactly the words of the book, you know what is in the book. But if you can express that in other ways, in other words, you understand. Okay? So, the fact he knew how to solve a problem was an inner vision. In fact, it is an act of the mind, not an act of the senses. Okay? The inner vision leads you to the insight, to the intelligible impress species. The first time it's on your intellect, and after that you can express that. You understand the why, because you understand the why, you have the concept of the why, and the concept you can express that in your own words.
So inner vision leads you to the intellect?
The
inner vision leads you?
That is the inner vision.
Oh, okay.
To insight,
Okay.
it is the inner vision.
Okay.
It's not like I can see many things, but I don't see the meaning of that. But I can see, if I see the meaning of that, it's not because I see that from my senses, because I see that from my intellect.
Thank you.
The classical example, think about Newton. Apple fall from a tree. Or Papin, the boiler, the cover. Well, senses see that. Everybody see that. But when you understand the principle of steam, the principle of gravity, the principle of hydrostatic, buoyancy, it is because you have an inner vision. Okay? In fact, you remember the first question we ask is, what is that? And after that, why? When there is in fact, every affirmation we do, every conclusion we arrive, we can always say why. For example, you say, it's beautiful today. Why? You have to give a reason for it. You cannot affirm it's beautiful today without a reason. If you say, I am tired, what was the question? Why? I studied too much philosophy of math. I have no time to sleep. Okay, next page. The discovery in fact, what is the discovery here? She did inside, huh? The inner vision of it. You know, interesting. I say three things: discovery, inner vision, inside. Three words to say the same thing. Be aware and be careful to learn to enrich your vocabulary, to express the same thing in different manners. Huh? Okay, so we use reasoning. If I say John is a kind man, I can say why. And now you give a proof of that. Huh? And that proof is the middle term. We studied that in the third operation. So the central point is the inner awareness, huh? The insight. We see that soon when you study. It is the illumination of the phantasm. Huh? The intellect will illuminate, will abstract something from the phantasm, from the insensible expressed species. Okay? So here we have the syllogism, categorical syllogism, when A equals B, B equals C, therefore, etc. And we have also hypothetical syllogism. For example, if P and the crown and the gold coins weigh the same water, then Q, the crown and the gold, are the identical substance. But P, the crown and the gold are the same, weigh the same in water. Therefore, they are the same substance. So it is the way we reason. We demonstrate, and every affirmation must respond to a why. Every. And there is no affirmation without a reason for that. Anyway, when you affirm something, most of the time the people will ask why. When you say to your mother, "Oh mother, I think I cannot go to school this morning," your mother say, "Why?" "I ate too much chocolate yesterday. I drink too much beer. I studied too long philosophy." Okay, so I cannot. Okay. What is that?
It's a try.
Next page, page 8. Well, here we can refer to the paper I gave you, experiment and experience. Huh? Okay, so the experience, it is in fact a procedure. It is what we see, we hear. It is what we catch, we know through our senses. We make a lot of experiences, sensation, and but a sensation, an experience become an experiment or experimentation when we reflect on that, when we control that, you know? When we measure that, when we, because we don't do that for everything. We said it is cold this morning. Maybe it is cold for you, but the other it is very warm. I called a friend in France. He is sick now, and he's at the hospital. And his wife told me that he must sleep with two sweaters. He is freezing, and all the people are short-lived. Oh, what is why? The doctor will say why. So if I say I am cold and everybody is sweating, there is a reason. If we are in Cameroon, they will say you have malaria. Malaria, paludism is a sign of that. Everybody is warm and you are freezing. That you are sick. You know. So we are not freezing without reason. Why? Okay. So when you catch the why, the meaning of the why, that is it is the insight. You say to your mother, "Mother, I am sick. I cannot go to school." She asks why, and you said the true reason, the truth, because you are honest. You said the true reason, your mother. When you see that, your mother catch as an insight of your problem. And you go to the garage and you say, "My car has such a thing," and why do you come to the garage? Why do you come here? Because my tire is losing air. And the man will have an insight of your problem. If you don't have an insight, he will search. And when you go to the doctor, you say, oh, I don't feel well. I don't feel well, that is very vague. He has to show why, you know. He must have an insight. To have the insight, he will study with his discoscope, your stomach, your heart. Finally, he will say the problem seems to be that, you know, okay? So the difference, experiment is truly, and it is an experience, but control, not only seized by my senses, but reflected on, measured, control, okay? And that gives value to my sensation. In fact, my experience in my life have value only when I reflect on, when I think about that, when I control that. In spirituality, we have examination of conscience. A businessman every night, before going home, he make an examination of cash, of his cashier, of his money. Yes, we need to reflect if we want to progress. Imagine a businessman, he does not control once a month. He will have big problem. He will have big problem. So we have to reflect. It is the unique way we can arrive to dominate the world. Because in fact, we know that in the Bible when God says you have the dominion over the world, how man can exercise his dominion over the world? Not through his hand. Lions and elephants are much powerful than men through his intellect. So now we go to page 9. And we have here 6 basic inferences we can take from the story of Archimedes. We saw that Archimedes had the insight, and after that he expressed that in himself through a concept, and he went to the king, and he explained that to the king, and the king, if the king understands, has the insight, he will have the same idea as Archimedes. But if the king does not have the insight, he will not understand nothing. He will understand nothing, you know. Sometimes it happens, when the teacher explains mathematics, someone they sees, and someone they don't see. They understand, they don't understand, you know. So that is, the teacher should understand, of course. I hope. And he tried to make his student understand. That the great challenge in education, it is not to teach. To teach is very easy. We can do that today through a movie, a screen. It is to make the student able to reflect, to think, to discover by themselves what the teacher says. You know, education is not based on memorization first. Education is based on understanding. Because memorization without understanding has no value. We are a parrot, psittacism. Psittacism, parrot in Greek. Parrot. Psittakos in Greek means parrot. And when I was a boy, I was a choir boy. I sang very well, I hope. And they kept me many years in the choir, so yes, I should sing well. I learned I know by Vesper. Vesper. Dixit Dominus, Domino meo. By heart. Dies irae, dies illa. Push on the button, and but I don't understand nothing. So teaching is not that. We have to understand. And when you preach, when you teach, try to make your student understand. And to understand, we understand through experiences. So use images, use comparison. Jesus did that. Jesus used parables, comparison. Think from the daily life of the people. And after that, you can understand, you know. We are not here in the current school, you know. Current school, they learn the Quran by heart. and they recite that without understanding the thing. For example, some African in my country, Cameroon, where I was, in the north, they learned the Quran by heart without understanding Arabic. But they know. Like I learned Latin at the age of 8, 9, without understanding nothing. You know? So, to be able to progress, all that, we were maybe in the choir 40 boys, 50 boys. How many today use the Latin they learned when they were 10 years old? But we used the grammar my teacher taught me when I was in the 2nd grade. Because I assimilated, I make myself when she taught. When she told me 2 and 2, 4 is forever. It is he. Okay, so first thing, Archimedes' insight came as a response to a previous act of questioning. If you don't question, you have no answer. What is knowledge? We saw that is an intentional union. Intention. Remember, intention, in fact, means also intention with the S. To be tendere toward something. That means we must be attentive. Imply attention. In fact, to make the difference between experience and experimentation or experiment is in one we look at that, it's funny, and the other we try to why it is funny. The difference. You know, you study a poem, literature. Well, you see, it's beautiful. After that, the teacher said, now why it is beautiful? And you have to write 2 pages to prove that the poem is beautiful, you know, to justify what you said. Okay? So he had to work it on his own. That means when you arrive to a knowledge, it is the knowledge you acquire essentially first of all depend on you. Archimedes did not depend on the water, did not depend on the people floating. He depended on his own understanding. That is true for everything. You teach catechism, you confirmation, you teach, you preach, you as long as the student, as your parishioner, don't make themselves what you say, it's like water on a duck. You understand that? It's very, very important. And William James, an American philosopher, said, what the teacher does is nothing, what the student does is everything. You can have the best teacher in the world if you don't do your own part, assimilation. It's nothing. So that is very important. And to study first is not to memorize. To study is to understand by yourself. That is. I insist on that so much. Because we can pass examination with an A, but if after that there is nothing staying in you. I told you maybe I passed my Greek from university for me. I have 14 on 15 for my Greek. By accident. I did not like that at all. For me it was a waste of time. 1 week after I forgot everything. I was very happy to forget. Because for me, I lost my time studying. I want to study, to teach science, not Greek science, you know. But now I regret. Because when I study theology, Bible, I will be very happy. So what we don't assimilate, it's of no use. What you assimilate is for the rest of your life. Okay? So, secondly, insight comes suddenly and completely without warning. You know, you understand or you don't understand. It is I or zero. It is on or out. In electricity, you touch the switch, in, on or out. You have no middle. There is no middle understanding. You understand or you don't understand. And as long as you don't understand, you can memorize, but you memorize what you don't understand. Okay? And that happens suddenly. You can reflect for hours on a problem in chemistry and physics, and suddenly I catch it. Eureka, yes. Because the insight goes to the fast of light. You know, you understand, but you prepare that understanding by reflecting, by asking questions. Okay. For example, remember when you were in algebra or in high school, and you have a problem in mathematics. You search. Suddenly, I catch it. When you catch it, after that, everything is easy. You have to catch it. You have to seize. Okay. So the observation has a meaning only if it is linked with the understanding. So observer, of course, in science, in physics, like in your life, you have to observe. We cannot know without observing, but we don't stay there. We have to interpret the observation. We have to understand the observation. What you did. What mistake I did when I said something, or I did that? Why? You know? Okay. It is sudden, suddenly. Sometimes it happens during when people sleep, but when you wake in the morning, oh, I found it. But it was working. It was working. Okay, next page, page 10. Insight is in the twinkling of an eye. We have not a progress in the insight. The insight is instantaneous, but it is prepared by a long reflection. And when you see that, it is like when you put the light on. Light is there. Okay? So it is, we acquire, it is, when you understand, it is one for all. It is the insight, the understanding, the first understanding is unique in your life. Unique in your life. When you know what is a cat, the first time you know what is a cat, it's for the rest of your life. You are not obliged to say again. See, well, no, you know, you experiment. I think it is. If you reflect on that, of course. If you don't reflect, has no value. So it is an original and unique act. In fact, we pass from potency to act. From impotency to have light, and in the act of having light. There is no half act. There is no half. It is, I understand or I don't understand. If you say, oh, I understand just a little bit, you don't understand. You go to the doctor is say, oh, I think probably. No. As long as the diagnosis is not made seriously, it is probability, it is not knowledge. Okay, so it is, but it's important. Just after the same square, the insight is the illumination of the phantasm by the agent intellect. We explain that in the future. Now, after that, the link, the insight between the fact and the meaning, the fact and the meaning. In fact, what is the insight? I have a fact, and I find in that fact a meaning, a why, a meaning, a why. Well, that is the insight. When the moment I can match both together. Well, you have some examinations, sometimes the teacher gave you matching. He gave you 20 names, nouns, and you have that to put with facts, 20 facts. Washington did that, etc. When you do that, it is an insight. Every time you have the good answer, you have the insight. That can take a few seconds to express that, but the insight is instantaneous. Instantaneous. You know or you don't know. Okay? So that insight is spiritual, totally independent of matter. That means independent of matter. Insight is an act of a spiritual act. It's not material. It's not dependent on matter. It's dependent only on your intellect. But when study that soon, it is one of the proof of the spirituality of the human soul. My knowledge is coming from my mind, but using my senses. My senses can give nothing, cannot give the insight. Otherwise, everybody will understand. Suppose I want to explain the theorem of geometry. I prepare, I put that here. And if you Okay, everybody understands. No, it's not like that. Huh? You have to explain and to reflect and to see why. And finally, after maybe 1 hour, you find a solution. Huh? Okay? The third characteristic, insight is much more a matter of inner awareness than of its circumstances. Of course, the circumstances can help, the environment can help, but the environment is only sense knowledge. Huh? Two persons in the same environment, one can understand, the other does not understand. You know? When people were swimming in the same pool as Mr. Archimedes, but only Archimedes discovered the law of hydrostatic. Huh? Okay? So the environment cannot produce the insight. Well, you know, in education, when you teach children in kindergarten, we try to make a lot of thing environment interesting, provoke their curiosity. But as long as they don't assimilate that, it's funny. Huh? I teach chemistry. I make once that happened. You know, of course the students laugh. They laugh. Yeah, he laughs. But it's not sufficient to laugh to have fun. Oh, we like the class of chemistry. We have a lot of fun. We explode. You know. Okay, but it's not teaching. No, okay. You know, today we try to make children learn by funny thing. Fun is does not provoke knowledge. They must know why it is funny. Why? And sometimes they stop there. They don't go further. They go only on the appearance, and they don't go behind the phenomenon. And that is the role of the teacher, to ask the question, why? Okay? You can, for example, use a parable of Jesus. It's not enough. You have to go to your student to understand what is the content of that, why. Huh? Otherwise, it's a beautiful story, the Good Samaritan, for example. But you have to go further, okay? So the best instrument of knowledge are nothing without the grasping of the student. You can have the best laboratory, the best books, the best computer. If it is not, there is no effort from the student to assimilate, it is of no use. No? Of no use. We can know a little thing, and we can have a lot of things and learn almost nothing. Okay? In fact, think about Edison. Edison he used to say that his success, the success in science depends more on sweat than on genius. Huh? He said that I think 95 or 97% of sweat and 3% of genius. In fact, we reap what we sow. So if we sow an effort of understanding, we reap. If we don't make that effort, we don't. Okay, in page 11, well, you can read that by yourself. Huh? We ask, why Archimedes now reflect on that? Because he was prepared. His mind was prepared. We cannot discover something if we are not prepared for that. Huh? So that means it is necessary to have a general formation and to understand, to have a rich vocabulary, to know the language, to know the history, and to understand. So that means our formation is also a factor to understand. If you have a scientific formation, it is easier for you to understand the principle of hydrostatic than you don't have a scientific formation. It was the reason why Archimedes was a scientist, so he was preoccupied by that. The other was more preoccupied to have fun and to escape the warm climate of Syracuse. Huh? Inside is the pivot between tangible, material thing, and abstraction. It is the passage between the sense knowledge of singular thing to the universal knowledge. So we see that. Next page. So we can say the understanding is a dialogue between matter and spirit. A dialogue, dialectic between the tangible, what we can teach, and the abstract. It is a passage from one to the other. We cannot think without an object, and the object by itself cannot make us think. So it is the union, don't forget, knowledge is the intentional union. That means you have to provoke that. Of course, the object is there, but it's not sufficient to know. You have to be intention, in attention toward that object to know. A fifth, insight passes into the permanent texture of the mind. It is, knowledge is assimilation. It becomes you. It's not more. It's not the knowledge of Aristotle, of Saint Thomas, of Saint Bonaventure, of Saint Augustine. It is your knowledge. And when you preach, you don't all the time say, "Oh, Saint Bonaventure said that." No, you tell the truth. You teach the truth. When I taught physics, I did not refer all the time to those who discovered the laws of physics. So it is a reactive. In fact, once gained, when I have the insight, I can reactivate the insight, express that into a concept. But it is forever. Think about something you learned when you were 5. I remember I was 5. I have 2 cousins. They were twins. They came to my house. I was not at school. They were in the first grade. And they were able to read. I was frustrated because I was not able to read. And when I began to read, I was so happy. I put letter and B. Yes, that is true. I remember that clearly in my mind. The pleasure I had to read for the first time in my life. The first time I was able to read a watch. I came home. I was talking to my father. Hey, all the time I was able to read the clock. But it was why? Because it is for the rest of your life. No? Think about that. Have you to learn every day to read the clock? But the first time you read the clock, how to know the time, you use your intellect, you assimilate. Because you assimilate, now you know. Sixth, insight is universal, and hence is communicable. If you understand well, you abstract well, you understand, you can say that to everyone. You can communicate that to everyone. So the way to know, it is to express what you know. To express that, to communicate. And knowledge is not reserved, but a universal knowledge is not reserved for someone. And the law of gravity is not a copyright for Newton. The law of hydrostatic is not a copyright for Archimedes. When we discover a law of nature, it is for the universe, for everyone. There is no limit to that. Okay? And page 14. So new insight are the roots of progress and civilization. The progress of culture, civilization, the way people live in society, is linked with insight. We benefit today of the insight of our ancestors. If we have a car with wheels, we benefit the man who invited the first wheel. If you use a button for attach your shirt, it is because we enjoy the insight of the first man who built a button with 4 holes. Sometimes we forget that. It becomes so natural for us, we forget that every fire. Think about fire. The discovery of fire was one of the most important. And we benefit of that today, but we don't think about that. Okay? So take a good rest. God bless. So next time we begin intellection. It is the most important chapter in the whole philosophy, according to Father Legault. But I have reason to affirm that. Everything starts from that. By the way, somebody asked me if there will be oral exam. A part of the exam of the midterm will be oral. And the question is very simple. You will explain to me how you know the intellection. It's the same question for everyone. I will be your student and you will be my teacher.